Hi, and welcome to How I Make a Painting, episode, I think it's 5. And today I'm going to talk about fur. And fur is something that I'm frequently asked about, and it's not as, I think, fancy as some people might believe. So I just like to start by getting some like general shapes down, and I like to start very, very dark. So I think that's just way easier going from dark to light. So you can see me trying to like define the shadows a bit there, and I'm just painting a lot on my own intuition, and I have a reference up there, and I think that when you're in your like beginning stages of painting fur, like if you're a beginner, I think that it's essential to use some reference and to study fur and just like draw a lot of animals. And I think that fur is not something that you should hang yourself up on a lot, or like it's not something that you should focus a huge amount on, because it's gonna come to you anyway when you study and practice painting animals. And it's important to remember that fur is just the icing on the cake, basically. It's not what's gonna make your piece work, it's everything else that's gonna make your piece work. Everything that includes, your values, your structure, your color. That's what's gonna make your painting work, and that's what you should be focusing your attention to and studying. Fur is just a texture, and it's if you're very, very good at fur, but you can't nail those other fundamentals, your painting is not going to work. It's not going to be a nice painting. So fur is not the thing that makes a working piece. It's your fundamental knowledge, and I was very much caught up on fur for a while, and I tried to go in there with so much detail and like try to just draw every strand, but it didn't really make for very interesting pieces. So I think that's important to remember. But yeah, so this is how I draw fur. I think it's an easy method. Move from dark to light, and now I'm adding my first layer of light, and I think that you should be very, don't add too much light, basically. It doesn't have to be light everywhere, and this is my first basic layer, so I'm just trying to get the shape out, basically. And you don't need to, draw every strand, every little hair. Right now I'm just using a brush, and it's not really textured, or well, it is textured, but it's not a fur brush. And I get a lot of people asking me what brush I use for fur specifically, and I don't think that that's important at all. And in fact, I can't even answer that, because I experiment with so many brushes, and I have the entire like Kyle Webster brush package, and so I don't even remember which brushes I use. So I always use new brushes and try to experiment with them, and this one is just a textured sort of brush, and it has some sort of natural feel to it, and it has pressure sensitivity on both the size and the opacity. You can also see me pull down the opacity on the brightness, like the lighter strands of fur, that layer, and now I'm painting on top of that too. And I think, that's something that I do a lot, is pulling down the opacity on my layers, because I don't want them to appear too hard, I guess. You can see me defining some fur clumps, and something that's important about the clumps is that they are more defined in areas where the fur points towards us. So that's what you can see underneath his chin is those clumps, and then you can see on his head, for example, that there aren't that many clumps at all, because those strands are sort of facing away from us, so they sort of morph into like one block of just fur. Detailing the eyes a little bit too, trying to keep everything on the same layer. And now I'm just shaking my layers, seeing what I like, and painting on the glasses too, on this one cat. And this is, yeah, I think that this is a very easy method to use, and if you were to draw a portrait, perhaps, maybe you would want to go into a bit more detail, since this man cat, this old guy here, he isn't the centerpiece at all of the piece, so, you know, he's just sort of a background, foreground character, so he doesn't have a lot of detail, but he still looks finished, and I think that it is very important to know when to stop. So yeah, I could always zoom in a lot and, you know, draw out every hair, but what good would that do, honestly? So yeah, and put them into group. Paying some attention to the newspaper too, but yeah, I'm basically done with the fur, I think. So yeah, drawing on the newspaper, and I keep that reference close by so that I can get it to look like a newspaper. But anyway, that's how I draw fur, and this is perhaps a bit of a shorter one actually, but I just wanted to do a separate video on the fur subject since I asked about fur specifically very frequently, sorry. And I think that a lot of people asking about fur might be people who are a little bit newer to arts, or perhaps digital arts, and probably think that fur is this really fancy important thing, because maybe that's what you see in a way, and that's not the case at all. It's just something that polishes the piece up a little bit more, and I think that that's very important to think about, so don't put too much weight on fur, because it's not what's going to make your piece work at all. It's just a texture. So yeah, with that said, I kind of want to sign off. If you want to view these videos, but in a way longer format where I go through everything in way more depth and detail, I have a tutorial available on Gumroad for just $5, and for those $5 you're going to get multiple video tutorials as well as the PSD file that you can go through and pick apart, and a couple of text tutorials as well. So this tutorial isn't completely finished yet, but you will get all the future videos and tutorials in this package if you get it now. So I hope that you'll check it out. It would help me out a lot, and there is a link in the description to this tutorial, and also to all my social media. So thank you so much for watching, and happy painting!